Hello, I'm Paul with Anxiety. I'm a therapist. Today I'm going to speak to you about anxiety attacks. More importantly than that, the three main causes of sudden anxiety attacks. Now, what I mean by sudden anxiety attacks is firstly not panic attacks, which is something slightly different. Sudden anxiety attacks are attacks when normal people, not people who've got high levels of general anxiety, depression, or other problems, have suddenly begun experiencing anxiety attacks. Now, this may often be for seemingly no reason. Now, when people do experience these anxiety attacks, people are confused, uncertain, unsure, frustrated. We become over-focused on the anxiety attacks themselves, the feelings that they produce, and the effect it's having on in our life, which then leads to avoidance, where our mind focuses on, oh my God, what do I need to avoid in my life to stop me experiencing these things? So the most important step for you to resolve your anxiety attacks now is to get 100% certain, 100% assured in yourself about the actions you need to take to resolve them, so that stopping them from today is something that you can realistically achieve. Now, the three main causes of anxiety attacks are physiological. Now, what I mean by that is your body has been put in a state where you're much more sensitive to things, where you're more stressed than you maybe normally are. So triggers from the environment or internal triggers are then causing you to suddenly feel anxiety attacks for seemingly no reason. So you might think, well, there's nothing wrong with me, but you're still experiencing those feelings. Now, this can be down to poor sleep, medication. Many antidepressants cause anxiety attacks. Drugs, illegal drugs, up. When you have the high, you have the low. In the low, you're much more sensitive to anxiety attacks. Excess caffeine, excess alcohol, poor diet, and so on and so forth. But be assured that if you take action quickly and resolutely, so if you have an anxiety attack today and you realise that's the problem, you take action now and stop following that habit, what you'll find is they'll go away and probably won't come back. But if they build up over a few weeks or a few months, you'll reach a point where they're chronic and they won't go away by you taking the original action, which is the frustration, and which is the point most people come and see me. The second cause of anxiety attacks is a slow build-up of stress or anxiety over the period of weeks, months, or maybe even a year. So all I mean by that is most people are unconsciously aware of how they feel now compared to how they felt 6 months ago. And when different events happen in our life, maybe you've had a new child in your life, maybe you've had difficult relationships, maybe you've got money worries, all different types of worries. If your stress levels have slowly built up, what will happen is this. So imagine on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being extreme panic, extreme anxiety, and 1 being you feel safe, you feel comfortable, you feel happy in yourself, you feel good in yourself in every way. Now, over the period of weeks or months, your anxiety levels can build up maybe just to a 4 or 5, where you don't notice it consciously, where you feel okay, you don't feel too bad. But you can imagine if 7's you're feeling terrible and you're already at a 4 or 5, it's really easy for lots of small things to push you over the edge when before you didn't notice it. But not only is it easier in terms of you're closer towards a 7 or an 8, but you're in a more sensitized state. So when I'm at a 1, lots of triggers can interrupt me in my life. They just don't bother me at all. They have no effect on me at all. They don't charge my nervous system. I don't feel anxious, don't feel stressed, don't feel frustrated at all. But when I'm at 4 or 5, all of those triggers are more sensitized to. So the same event can happen and it has that effect on me. And then I say, well, there's nothing wrong with me. Why is this having this effect on me? I should be fine in this situation, but I'm not. Now, the third cause of anxiety attacks is you may have experienced a difficult or traumatic event in your life over the past few weeks, past few months, or past year or so. You may have had death in the family, or you may have gone through a difficult divorce. You may have lost your job. You may have had money problems. You may have had some unresolved event that is now. And what happens is, so you have an unresolved, strong emotional traumatic event. And what happens is when it's not resolved completely, is then it puts you in a state where something can trigger those feelings that we felt before. And obviously they're horrible feelings and we don't want to feel them, pretty much any of the time. What happens then is, if it stimulates those terribly uncomfortable feelings that we felt before, it's so conflicting that it produces strong anxiety and we have an anxiety attack. And it's quite frustrating because most of the time it's unconscious, so our minds generalize that something around us is associated in some way. Someone could have died in your life, and you might see someone that looks like that person. Without your conscious awareness, you suddenly have an anxiety attack and you're not sure why. Or it can even be an event from the future. So all I mean by that is you've got an event, something coming up, maybe even a wedding. Some people, that's a stressful event. Maybe you've got to give a speech in public. Maybe you've got a last appointment with your boss to find out whether you're going to get made redundant or not. Maybe you've got you're going to give birth in a few months' time, but an event coming up that's stressful, that's worrying, that's concerning you in some way, and that's stimulating stress or anxiety, and those thoughts are rattling around in your mind, making your mind sensitized to look for triggers associated with that event. So your mind may see something, think, wow, that's associated to that, give you those feelings, and as they've built, you have an anxiety attack. Frustrating, I know. But the most important thing with any of these things is to take action as soon as possible, because what you'll find, if you don't take the recognized action straight away, it will reach a point where it's chronic. Now, it doesn't mean that it can be resolved, it doesn't mean that it's more necessarily more difficult, but it doesn't mean it's slightly more confusing. So often the type of people that come and see me at work every single day is they've experienced anxiety attacks for maybe a few weeks, maybe a few months, and they've tried certain things that they should have worked, but they didn't. And that's when they get to a point where it's different things that are going to resolve your anxiety attacks and stop them from today, so that you can recover and feel emotionally better in yourself every single day from now. In terms of reducing your frequency of anxiety attacks, so if you're having one a week, you have less than that. If you're having one a month, 10 a month, you have less than that. And in terms of their intensity as well. So every single day from now, they reduce in frequency, you have less, and they reduce intensity to the point over a short period of time, maybe a few weeks, where they just don't matter anymore. They just don't bother to you. Your mind doesn't focus on them anymore. You feel safe, you feel comfortable in yourself, you feel stronger in yourself in every single way. Good, well thanks for listening to me today. If you've got any more questions, feel free to post them down below. And just let me know specifically the advice you feel you need to resolve your anxiety attacks from today.